Hello everyone. There has been strong hostility towards English-speaking Quebecers in our province for some time from the government. Some people are afraid to lose our French language and want the government to take action before the extension. The reality is that most of English speakers who live in Montreal are perfectly bilingual. The Legault government has passed the Bill 96, a reform of the Law 101 concerning the French language. A bill which is supposed to protect French language but is instead infringing the right and freedom of minorities. Here, I'm referring to Indigenous, Anglophone, and Allophone. We have to do something. That is why we are starting our petition against Bill 96 to make sure that everyone has the same right and freedom in Quebec. We need to send a clear message to Legault government to stop adding restrictive law in Quebec who is limiting slowly the right of their citizens. If you are agreeing with me, please go and sign massively the petition against Bill 96 at stopbill96.com. Let me tell you what is really happening here and why this law will hurt non-French speakers, even if Quebec is the only home they have ever known. You need to understand that in 1974, under the government of Robert Bourassa, French became Quebec official language when Bill 22, otherwise known as the Official Language Act, came into law. The Act established French as the primary language spoken in the public and private sector. 3 years later, the Quebec National Assembly adopted the Charter of the French Language, Bill 101, under the government of René Lévesque. Today, Francois Legault government has brought forth its own reform to Bill 101 with the adoption of Bill 96. Legault claimed that these changes are necessary to protect Quebec Francophone identity. In his view, they are needed to ensure the survival of the French language in his home province. Have a look of his thought on the current situation.
I really want that we get people together. I know that a vast majority of Anglophones are against the independence of Quebec, and they have to understand that it's a question of survival. If we don't take action to protect French, it's a matter of time. Quebec becomes a bilingual state. It's a matter of time before we lose the presence of French in Quebec.
Many people have raised concern about the Bill 96. Here, in this interview offered by Anthony Housefather to CBC, he explained the major consequences of this law.
Well, let me start by saying that I see no reason why then, if it's about the decline of the French language, that English-speaking Quebecers will no longer be able to get birth certificates, death certificates, or marriage certificates in English. Why, if I do a contract to sell my house to another English-speaking person, I will no longer be able to file that contract in English with the registry office. We'll have to do the contract in French. Why I, as an attorney, can no longer communicate with the Quebec bar in English. All of these things don't help one Francophone. They just mean English-speaking Quebecers no longer get services in English. And when it comes to what he's claiming with respect to healthcare, let's look at the general rule. The general rule in the bill, for the very first time in Quebec history, access to English schools is what is tied to your right to get government services in English. So only those people who were educated in English in Canada or whose parents were educated in English in Canada are supposed to be able to access government services in English, provincial and municipal, along with those who arrived in the last 6 months, recent immigrants. After 6 months, and if you don't have access to English schools, you don't have a right to government services in English. And with respect to healthcare, they did add into the bill some provisions with respect to healthcare, but I don't read that as a general difference from that rule. I read that as in exceptional circumstances. For example, you're going into the emergency room, right. You're able to get served in English if you need to be. But if I'm looking for psychological help, if I'm looking for a physio, if I'm looking to get non-urgent medical care, I don't see this exception applies.
Also, some Native community chiefs came to the National Assembly to raise their voice about the injustice that will create against the Aboriginal nation. Here is an excerpt of one of them.
Bill 96 is not just an issue that impacts Indigenous youth when it comes to education. The more we looked at this bill, it is going to have impacts in every sector of our lives as Indigenous people. You know, we're trying to move forward in this space now in the time when everybody's talking about reconciliation. We've been trying to create a relationship with Quebec. And now, as some of the words that were said by the people who spoke before me, this kind of goes against that nation to nation and that kind of equality relationship that we're looking for in being able to address things in a meaningful way through dialogue. We do not want to see this bill move forward without any kind of exemption or consideration of Indigenous people, our languages, our cultures that have been here since time immemorial. And the way that this government is conducting itself is very dismissive, and it disregards us and our long history and our presence on these lands. So what we're asking for is for Minister Jolene Barrette to delay. Give us the space, give us that respect to at least have dialogue and hear of our concerns with this bill, because we see it as being rather sweeping, impacting numerous legislations, amending Bill 101. And I'm gonna tell you, there's an action taking place in Kahnawake right now. And when push comes to shove, Kahnawake is gonna continue to be the leader in this region for First Nations to set the bar on the way. Unfortunately, it seems like we have to take action to get attention. We don't want to take these kind of actions, but that's what we feel like when our backs are pushed against the wall, and it's only going to continue to happen in this way if we don't get that ability to have dialogue, respectful dialogue, and hearing our concerns and hearing our voices. Tony Awanage, Yawa.
Legault still denied those information and claimed that it is not the case.
Speak to the historic English-speaking community of Quebec. You are an integral part of Quebec. As a historic community, you have your own institutions, schools, colleges, universities, hospitals, the media. Canada's Francophone minorities dream of mastering so many institutions. No minority in Canada is better served than English-speaking Quebecers, and we are proud of that.
But a large part of the population see this as a gross overreach by the government. People have already taken the street to express their displeasure with the law. The majority of Quebec Anglophone community has legitimate fear that they will lose access to many services in English. These concerns are justified as the bill is unclear about the extent to which English speaker and new immigrant can access to public resources, including education, health, and legal services, already under the scrutiny of Quebec language policy. And without some understanding of the law, it makes it extremely difficult to interpret the bill through implication. Unfortunately, it seems that this bill will be more an handicap for the citizens of Quebec, since it will increase level of linguistic isolation, and this will introduce many unforeseen consequences. If English disappeared from Quebec, how could Quebecers get information other than from the state media? And what hope will the province have to develop its economy when nearly all its trending partners communicate in English? Many claim that it is difficult to get information from Quebec because of the language barrier. Imagine in a couple of years from now. Did you know Legault refused to do an English language debate? Do you think that decision is related with his statement about the survival of the French and his nationalist speeches? Especially the one he gave during his Congress. Have a quick look.
Mais je l'ai dit, la prospérité sans la fierté, ça n'a pas de sens. Ce qu'on bâtit aujourd'hui, ça s'inscrit dans le fil de notre histoire, l'histoire d'un peuple qui s'est développé dans l'adversité, l'histoire d'un peuple qui est uni par sa langue, un peuple uni par ses valeurs, un peuple qui est uni aussi par une cohésion nationale. On l'a vu pendant la pandémie, là. Pourquoi les Québécois ont plus suivi les consignes ici au Québec qu'ailleurs dans le monde? Pourquoi les Québécois ont accepté plus ici de se faire vacciner qu'ailleurs dans le monde? Pourquoi? Parce qu'ils voulaient protéger les plus vulnérables de notre nation, parce qu'on a ici une cohésion nationale. Puis ça vaut cher. Puis on a fait beaucoup pour la cohésion nationale dans ce premier mandat. On a adopté, comme je le disais tantôt, la loi 21 sur la laïcité de l'État, parce que c'est comme ça qu'on vit au Québec. On vient aussi d'adopter la loi 96 qui renforce la charte de la langue française parce que c'est comme ça qu'on parle au Québec. I know that there are some who are adding fuel to the fire by claiming that the Bill 96 will prevent English-speaking Quebecers from receiving healthcare services in English. We are committed, to protecting your access to healthcare. It's an historical promise that we will keep.
Few people know this, but Mr. Legault has other role beside that of Quebec Premier. He is also the minister responsible for relation with English-speaking Quebecers. This may seem absurd, given how little effort he has put towards ensuring English speakers feel accepted and integrated in Quebec. When we think of it, this is hilariously incredible. Several laws are already in place to protect the French language. So why is our government so adamant about imposing more? Are we going to wait until every English speaker flees the province to realize that the French language was never under threat? The Quebecers have every right to protect their language, but at what cost? Please help to defend all minorities in Quebec province and sign our petition at stopbill96.com and try to make a difference in their life. Thank you very much. It was Alexa for Rebel News. So please help me to make a difference in all minorities alive in Quebec, Anglophone, Allophone, and Aboriginal. It's really important. They represent the beautiful community of Quebec province, and we want them to feel integrated. So please go and fill the petition at stopbill96.com. Thank you.